Hey, welcome back. I am so excited to be back. I hope you guys are excited to be back and that you missed me because I missed you guys too. So, I'm back with a brand new case study. We're going to chop it up, have some fun, do what we do. So, if you haven't been following, although I don't know how you would have, I've definitely disappeared for a good year or so now. And so I do want to give a quick shout out to Tamisha and Wei. They encouraged me to come back with this new case study that I'm so excited to share with you. Tamisha has a philosophy that everything is content. And, at first glance, you're like, I don't know, that sounds like a lot. And I saw like her take meetings with clients, and I mean, of course, she bleep things out and remove some things. But when I realized that, you still saw her working with someone that everything truly was content. So I just again wanted to say thank you before we kind of kick everything off. So, uh, I don't know what you've been doing, right? But I want to know. It's been a little while, so leave me a comment. Let me know how life has been going with you. Um, because when life lives. That is like the most vague motivational content um, ever. But yeah, so just like I said, quick recap. We start off in the My Lead Gen Secrets case study, but I kind of found out that they have a little more control over sales than I was led to believe. And so I don't want to promote anything that I don't trust. And so that's really kind of why that case study ended. And so after that, I just kind of took some time off to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. I kind of went back to agency work for a little while and go high level. And I think we'll talk about that a little bit as well, just because I'm still doing all of those things. Recently I lived in the mountains of North Carolina and there was a hurricane. And so I got displaced, like so many other people. Um, and in that displacement, I moved and met a guy and then uh, permanently moved. So when life lives, and I'm just going to put the rest of it like that. So again, leave me comments. I want to know how all of you are doing. I miss you guys. Okay, so you guys are probably like, okay, when are we getting to the case study? Right. So we're gonna do that like right right now. Okay. So about we're gonna say a year or so ago, maybe a year and a half at this point. I was watching a video. You need context. I like context. I'm sorry. Was watching a video and a guy was doing Amazon, but he was writing nonfiction books. I think he was doing something about like AI, like for dummies type of books. And he was like, "Oh, I write these nonfiction books. They're good. They sell well. That type of thing." And also at the time, I was also reading a lot of um, like romance novels and things like that. And what I noticed in reading those romance novels is that the author has a collection of books, right? Sometimes they're in the same universe, sometimes they're in different universes, right? Um, and, that author, let's say, has like 20 books or something in their collection. And, this is a new program, right? Or not, it's new to me. But so we might start using this a little bit. So this person has, that is a line. Yay, box. Okay, cool. That is our box. This is going to be our book. So this person has 20 of these books. We're going to put a 2 right here. Oh, cool. And each one of these books on Amazon, right? She's a little more well established. Is going for like $7.99, all the way up to something like $9.99. And this is like per book, okay? And then so you have the individual books, but then you'll also have like the bundle of books, right? And so let's say there's maybe 5 or 10 books or whatever in this series, but she'll have 20 in total. And so, this bundle alone will go for like, I don't know, like $50 or something like that. But then like her whole series will go for like 100. And so as I was looking at that, and as a person who was actually like actively buying and reading these books, this is kind of when the two concepts merged, if you will. And it was like, wait a minute, I just bought, and this particular author has way more than 20 books. She definitely is much closer to that 80, 100 catalog range, okay? I just bought, and I found her series later. So I bought like 80 books just to like read the whole series. And she's still writing part of the series, and I caught up. But I didn't want to look at the reading bill. I didn't want to look at how much I had spent on books. And so that's kind of, I was like, okay, wait a minute here. We might be on to something. Okay. So we're going back a little bit. So the guy writing nonfiction books on Amazon, right? Which you NF for nonfiction. And those are like your how-to books, your how-to for dummy books, or basically anything that's not like a story. And he was like, this is going really well. The problem I had with nonfiction books is that the content really isn't evergreen, especially in a way that you traditionally kind of have to niche down in order to provide a helpful subject um, to that person. And so now you solve that problem for that person. And now what? And that was my problem with the non-fiction books. And so I started thinking, okay, well, how can I use this model, right, that nonfiction books are selling well, but throw in there the fact that people read, i.e. me, I just bought 80 freaking romance books, right, from the same author. Now, how can I combine like all of this together? Cool. And so that is the case study. That is what we are going to do. Erase this. I'm like low key liking this whole Excel draw thing. Um, maybe? Okay. We're gonna leave that there. But that is the case study, right? And so can I grab that? Nope. Grab. That is so interesting. Okay. Sorry guys. I'm learning this too. Grab, maybe. Boom. All right. So, all right. So that is where I came up with this concept. So I created an ebook, first off, called the Romance Reactor. And in this ebook, I break down exactly how to write a short romance novel, anywhere from about 5,000 to 10,000 words. Let me slide that over a little bit. There we go. So the idea behind this is, let me refer to my notes because I'm way off topic. Is that, like I said, so the nonfiction books rely on people like needing the info, and I kind of felt like it had a short shelf life. However, fiction, right, whether it's romance or sci-fi or whatever else that is, people binge, i.e., again, just bought 80 books. And so what we're looking to do is use Amazon, and I'm going to draw this out like this. Boom. We all know what this is. You're in marketing. You know what this is. So we're going to draw out our funnel so that you kind of get a really good picture. All right. So at the top of our funnel is our books, right? And you're like, Morgan, I don't know how to write a book. A year ago, I didn't know how to write a book, and that's why book that actually got created, because I didn't know how to write a book a year ago, and I spent a lot of time reading, studying, understanding, and so I put this together. It's specifically formatted to help you write with AI as your co-author, your co-pilot. And I came up specifically with a 6-beat outline structure map, and what it allows you to do, if you will. I kind of combine traditional story writing with TikTok bingeability in order to create these types of stories. So the 6-beat outline is what makes these stories, quote unquote, sticky, if you will. So getting back to the top of the funnel. So our top of the funnel is actually Amazon. I was trying to figure out, like, was I gonna write all that? Okay. Let's put that. Whew, all right. And each one of these is going to be a book. Okay. So currently Amazon has like a trillion people in their Kindle Unlimited platform. And if you're not familiar, Kindle Unlimited is where people pay Amazon like a monthly subscription, and that allows them to basically download any book and read. So, and you get a percentage for every read, right? Every page that they read. And so that's why it's very important that your books be sticky. So, and I'll work through the math with you in just a little bit, but I just kind of wanted you to understand the funnel so far, and how this is actually going to work. All right, so you wrote a book, right? You placed it on Amazon. You have the Kindle Unlimited version. You may or may not have a hardback version, and that's fine. So from there, right, at the end of your book, what you want to do is you want to offer them something, right? A book club, secret, whatever, right? Because you still want to collect, right, their name, their email address, their phone number, if possible, right? Traditional funnel stuff. Okay. And so from there, what we want to do is offer a continuity product. And your continuity product should be based off the book. Okay. And a continuity product, if you're not familiar with it, is like a subscription type of thing. And so let's use like Lord of the Rings. Like everybody has heard of Lord of the Rings. And so think of this, right, as Lord of the Rings, right? You wrote, that's your book, okay? And it does well. And you have a lot of people that give you their name and phone number and email address and so forth. And so what you would be able to offer that person, is, let's say, maybe they want some sort of I don't know, a mug, right? This is print on demand, right? Maybe they want like a secret treasure map or something, right? That's a downloadable PDF. And so you would charge the person, right, i.e. a fan, I don't know, something silly, something like $5 a month, right? Or $10 a month, whatever you decide, right? But the idea behind this is that this Amazon is now the top of your funnel. And one of the big distinctions, and this is why I didn't want to go with the nonfiction book route, was that you're not creating fans. You're not creating this universe, if you will, where people can continuously discover your world. Another big reason to do it this way is I personally believe like the future of entertainment is with us, the people, the user. And I say that just because how often do you pause a movie, a TV show, an anime, whatever you're watching, and scroll TikTok or scroll Instagram or YouTube Shorts? Because if I do it and you do it, there's probably a lot of other people that do it. And so being able to put out, right, a book, and this book is going to lead to not just this funnel, but also you have an audio, right? You'll have an audio book. And, in the next X amount of years, not even that really, with how fast AI is going, right? You're going to have a video. I think, I don't know about you, but those Chinese dramas that are like 40-minute videos, yeah, right? That's you're going to also be part of your next step. But it started right here with the book, because from the book, you can now turn that into audio. You can now turn that into a video. You can now turn that into smaller TikTok clips and YouTube shorts and all of those things. And you can turn it into longer, like I said, videos, and even slightly longer videos in the sense of like, the 1-2 minute videos or slideshows. But again, it all started from this one book. All right. So now you've got all that. Okay. Um, and now you have your continuity product. All right. That is the $5 to $10 subscription. But again, it all started from this one book. All right. And so, after you have the $5 to $10 continuity products, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get further down in there. And, I'm using Go High Level. And so again, we'll get into that. But then, after this, right, you have like webinars. Maybe they want to meet the author, right? Maybe they want to have additional conversation with it. Maybe you want to put together events, whatever else that is, but they go from a continuity product of $5 to $10 to a webinar where they meet you in person, or you know, you show them exactly, how you put this together, because they're a fan, right? So think about it in the sense of, if you could pick the brain of somebody you were interested in learning from, how much would you pay to do that? Maybe you have a special, class or club, or something along those lines, whatever that is. And so this is kind of what it looks like as like an overall concept. All right, I hope that that makes sense, that this is the case study that we're building, that, you know, I'm showing you. All right, let me erase all these things. Is there like a, maybe I need to look that up, like a better erase thing? I didn't kind of want to erase my book, but you know. And we still have like those two dots. Isn't that weird? Okay, I don't know. All right, so again, Amazon is our top of the funnel. So now you're probably like, all right, Morgan, I need to see the numbers. I need to see the math. And I get it. I'm a numbers person. All right. So let's talk numbers. Do you want to type this out for that? All right. I wrote them all down. See that? Can you guys see that? That crazy? Yeah. Cool. All right. So when I initially started, this is kind of based off of only having 5,000 words in your book. And most of the books that I write are minimally 6,000. So I kept the 5,000 just because, you know, worst case scenario type of thing. All right. Trying to like rearrange everything here. All right. So we're going to assume a 5,000 word book. And this is roughly equivalent to about 20 pages in the Kindle universe, or Kindle Unlimited, which is called like KENP or something, right? This is like Kindlepreneur, like page or something like that. I will probably just refer to it as KU for like Kindle Unlimited, although sometimes I say Kindle Universe, so they're the same thing. Work with me, people. All right. So the Kindle Unlimited payout is done based on per page read. So at the time of this video, we're going to use our little dot right here. Per page read is 0.0045, right? So anytime someone reads your book, a single page in your book, this is what Kindle is going to pay you. Now, so at a 5,000 word book, that represents roughly about 20 pages. And so your payout is 0.085. Yeah. Sorry, that does not look like an 8. Let's kind of fix that a little bit. It's 0.08. More like it. Oh, all right. It's 0.085. Now, that is an atrocious number. Definitely not disagreeing with that. This is why I needed you to see the whole funnel first before we got to the math. All right. So I'm just going to, again, numbers. All right. So to make, let's say, $500 a month solely with Kindle Unlimited, you need approximately 5,900 reads per month. It's approximate. All right. And then to make, let's say 5,000, you need approximately 58,880 reads per month. All right. So this is all assuming you have one book. All right. So now that you get the understanding of this single book, we're just going to kind of move down a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you have a catalog of books. Remember how I was telling you that I just bought 80 books from the same author? Okay, that is a catalog. And let's see if we're going to make this a little bit easier. Like line, maybe, maybe not. All right, hold on. You have to do this every time. Cool. And just kind of hoping to keep things a little bit cleaner for you. All right. So this side is going to be like the number of books. Number. All right. And 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000. Cool. All right. So let's say you only have a catalog of 10 books. So with 10 books to make $1,000 a month, you need 1,180 people to read your book every single month. Let's see. At 3,000, thank you. All right. So at 3,000, you need 3540. And then at 5,000, 5,880. Okay. This is assuming that you only have 10 books in your catalog. Okay. We'll do two more just so you can kind of get. So we'll say you have 30 books in your catalog. And then we'll just double that and say you have 60 books in your catalog. Again, the catalog is the number of books written. Now, at 30, you only need 390 books read per month. To make the 3,000, you need 1,170. And then at 5,000, you need 1,960. Okay, again, number of books read per month. And at 60, you only need 197 reads. At 3,000, 591. And then to make the 5,000, 980. Cool. So this is specifically just the Kindle Unlimited side of it. So you remember the funnel. Just kind of do your funnel, right? This, the Amazon part where you're putting your books, this is the top of the funnel, right? This is drawing people in. And by having a book, right, that's bingeable, that's readable, it allows you to build an audience. It allows you to create fans, essentially. Let me draw that. Boom. All right. So again, these are the numbers for this top of the funnel, because whatever you do, you still want to be able to turn a profit, right? To make money. And so it doesn't matter. And what I like about this strategy is that it allows you to make money all the way down. All right. When you look at traditional funnels, you have this market where people are just coming in, right? And you're collecting their information, and you're hoping to sell them something, later on in the beginning. But here you have a bunch of different products, in our case books, which is allowing us to make money on this, with this, on the front end. And like I said, you start off with the book, you have the Kindle Unlimited, you have the hard copy, you also will eventually put this into the Audible program, right? And so forth. So again, all of these things are the top of your funnel, and you want to lead them into the continuity product next. So again, give me one sec, going back to my notes to make sure I covered everything. um, right. Mm, okay, I think that pretty much like covers everything. um, you get that this is all your subscriptions, upsells, affiliate links, and merch here. Um, I know in one of the example books or whatnot, one of my characters uses a very specific pen. Um, and so that pen can be an Amazon product, right? So if you find a unique pen on Amazon, you can tell people, hey, get my exact pen, the pen this character used, or something along those lines. And that's what I'm saying, is that if you think about each one of these books, being its own story, its own universe, its own product, um, you can then monetize, how this person, or how these characters interact with things. For example, um, the new framework that I was looking at is a survival horror type of thing. And in there, he needs like a vest or a radio, and things along those lines. And so as I was writing, and I was like, that would be really cool, um, to, then tell people, hey, if you want the same style vest that this particular character had, here's an Amazon link to it, right? Or here's a whatever link to it. And so it allows the reader to now take your story, your book, to the next level, right? How many times have you seen someone wear something from a book, whether it's elf ears or, Harry Potter stuff, or, I don't know, Lord of the Rings stuff, or, I mean, hell, even like some of the zombie apocalypse merch or whatnot. All of those things are items that people love, they buy, because it's connected to something that they were interested or that they really enjoyed. And so, again, we're just kind of starting off um, with romance, just because that is a genre that I'm familiar with. And so if you understand the actual like monetary, the money and stuff behind it, if you understand, how being able to create these like romance books to create viral bingeability and have somebody purchase like 80 copies, of your entire series. And maybe you do know how to write, maybe you don't know how to write, maybe you just want a very easy way to do this. Um, and if that's you, I would encourage you to click the link below. It'll take you to my ebook, The Romance Reactor. Uh, I help people write short romances in 3 days, right? And with the 6 beat story outline, along with the AI prompts that I use in there, uh, you can write again with AI as your co-author a romance in 3 days and have your first draft essentially. Um, because a big part of this is that the story still has to be good, right? You can't just put up anything. It still has to be good. And that's where the bingeability part of it comes in. Because again, a year and a half ago, I found out that I can't just be like, hey, AI, write me this story and it actually be good. It's trash. And so if you put out, right, if you write a book that is just complete trash, you lose your momentum. You lose the people at the top of the funnel, right, who would buy your book. Because if you put out 60 books really quickly that aren't remotely good, nobody moves down to your middle um, tier, right? And so, having the framework that the Romance Reactor provides is the difference, is what allows the sticky bingeability of your story. And you can write um, safe for work stories, and you can write not safe for work stories. And if you if you're not necessarily familiar, you may or may not be in the book world, but um, safe for work stories are like PG-13, right? Just think of it that way. And not safe for work stories usually contain adult content, adult scenes, um, you know, you can fill in the blank. But that is the difference. And so, I also created, let me see, there we go. The 100 trope cards to go with the Romance Reactor, because you may or may not have a idea for a romance novel, and you know what, that's cool. I personally, had a bunch of different ideas, which is why I'm sort of choosing the route that I'm choosing in terms of um and I don't know if I explained that part. Forgive me, guys. I feel like I'm a little out of practice with this. But essentially, there are two paths to this. One where, let me scroll down a little bit, where you have a single universe, and then within that universe, you have all the different books. Okay. So, for example, we're just going to stick with Lord of the Rings. So in this big context window, you have like all of Middle Earth. Okay. And then within the universe of Middle Earth, you have, I don't know, The Hobbit and the actual Lord of the Rings movie thing, right? And so this is one way to do it. And the same thing if you think about it in like the Harry Potter universe, right? You have the whole like wizarding world. This is the context of that universe, the entire wizarding world. And this is book Harry Potter book 1. This is book 2 or something like that. Now the other side of this, and this could work, right? It helps in the sense in terms of like, I bought the 80 books, and this is the story format that this woman, this author used, right? She has a whole universe and she's got 80 books within this universe. So, the upside of that is that anybody who gets into this universe, likes your books, will buy all 80 of your books. Prime example. And with her having thousands of reviews, I'm definitely not the only person. All right. So the other side of this is, we'll put that over there, is that each individual book is its own universe, right? So you can think of these as like one-offs. Okay. And so what I've personally chosen, and you could do either one, and I'll probably end up doing a hybrid just because I'm me. But right now, all the books I have right now are standalone. And so they each have their own individual universe in a way. And so the idea behind it is that, like let's say, this one, I don't know. This one's about like a billionaire romance. Maybe this one is a mafia romance. Maybe this one is a monster romance. All right. And so because and you'll get this in the trope cards and stuff like that. But let's say this mafia romance takes off. The book and the way I've set the romance reactor up is that if this book takes off, this one sells really well, people go crazy for these particular characters, great, I do this. Boom. Do you see what I just did there? Now this book that went viral is now I build a universe around this book. Let me put that in there right there. So now I build a universe around this book. And so these characters, cool. Maybe they get a part 2. And you know what? Maybe some of the characters I mentioned in this book now get this book, right? And do you see how it's now multiplying? So the books that I still have out here are still doing their job, right? At the top of the funnel, bringing people in. But now I have this entire universe of books that are doing much better, right? So now instead of continuing to write individual books, maybe I now focus on what's going on in this world, in this universe, and then continue to write books from there. Does that make sense? I hope you can kind of see what I'm talking about in terms of the difference between like having the books inside of the universe versus like having them be completely standalone. So both are still doing their job. But by this one now being contained in a universe, I can now create individual books, but also I can bundle these books, which now increases the value. So don't get me wrong, you can still bundle these books as well, but you'd be bundling them more like hey, here's a catalog of books written by the same person versus here's the sequential story of everything that is happening. So that's probably why I'll end up doing a hybrid version. But like I said, all that's kind of explained here, but the way I have you write the stories allow you to create, individual um, books that, like I said, that are fun, that people are interested in. And again, that's why you have the 100 tropes. So if you're not familiar, um, let me see. Uh, a trope, if you will, is kind of like an overall guiding principle. Um, for example, one of the tropes in here is called one bed. And what makes this awesome is it works across different genres, but specifically for the romance genre, we use the trope called one bed. And it is exactly what it sounds like. Two of the characters have to share a bed, essentially. And how it's set up is however you decide to set it up. But the concept is that, maybe they're stranded on an island, maybe their spaceship crashed, maybe their boat crashed, whatever it is, and there's only one bed. Maybe they got captured and they're in prison someplace and there's only one bed. Do you see how that kind of like helps you put together a story? Because again, that is the central theme of the story, and how it happens and why it happens. All of that is up to you as the creator. All right, so this video definitely went on longer than expected. But I do hope that kind of gives you a really good idea of what's happening, the breakdown, the funnel, and things along that. And if you have questions, like leave me some questions in the comments. Right, I want to know what you're thinking. Is this a crazy case study? Like, do you think it could work? Does it make sense? Like, I just, hell, shoot the breeze. Just um, leave me a comment. Like I said, I definitely want to know, like what you think. If you have any questions, if you have any really cool ideas, because the next thing you're gonna, start watching me do is put together these stories, work through the romance reactor, um, piece by piece. And if, like I said, if you want to go ahead and you want to see what's happening, I'll leave the link below and you can pick up the ebook. I think I'm doing it for like $12 or something like that. There's a 50% off coupon that makes it like $12. Off the hand, I want to say the coupon is 3-day, but you can see it on the sales page. Let me go. All right, let me go. Boom. So again, you're gonna go to Quill Engine dash like slash romance reactor, and it'll take you to like I said, this sales page or whatnot. And I include like a lot of bonuses as well. Because after you write the draft, you do need to kind of edit it a little bit again. You want to make sure that the book is actually decent, because then it ruins everything else below hand. All right. Thank you so much for checking everything out. Again, we're going with the principle that everything is content. Thanks for, joining me. As always, I am Morgan the Mogul. So remember, hustle over hype, keep shining, keep grinding. It's been real, Morgan the Mogul. All right, later.